Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk about 3 marketing mistakes that was killing our sales at MoonRise Health and how we fixed it. The 3 things I'm going to talk about was understanding the difference between problem aware and solution aware. A lot of our marketing was focused on promoting a solution and our features when literally all our prospects were in the problem aware state. Let me break that down in a bit. The second thing I want to talk about is not working with the beautiful concept of demand supply. That's a natural constraint in our business. We didn't use it, and we're coming up with like fake urgency, fake scarcity when we had something that was supernatural and was, could be really harnessed. And the last thing I'm going to talk about and unpack for you is the Cinderella method, which is absolutely one of my favorite things to really qualify prospects, and how that's completely revolutionized our marketing here at MoonRise. So for those that are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Mahesh. I'm the CEO at MoonRise Health. MoonRise is a holistic pelvic health studio for women. So when women give birth or they go through menopause, a lot of them have pelvic floor issues. And when the classic traditional physical therapy doesn't work, they come to us and we give them holistic exercises that are effective and work for you. And we do this through curated programs and cohort-based courses, right? It's our 5th year in business. We spent 4 years grinding away at growth until we fixed these mistakes. We didn't have any product market fit until recently, and now we really started scaling towards 6 digits per month and are very profitable. To give you some more context, before we did these changes, our CAC LTV was 1:1.7, meaning for every dollar we invested, we got just $1.70 back. Right now, it's $1 to 50. So for every dollar we invest, we get $50 back. We have other challenges right now, obviously, is how we can scale at a pretty decent clip, and we're figuring that out. And I'll make sure I share my journey here. The second thing, with this change was that our GTM, go-to-market team, was 10 plus people. You know, we had marketing people, content people, sales people. Now, together with AI and this change in strategy, I have 2 people. So we're much more profitable and we're much more leaner. And I work less because I have fewer meetings, which means I can share my journey here on YouTube, for instance. And the last thing is the whole energy. That's what my wife would say is the energy behind the business. It's gone away from like being transactional and being much more relationship driven. So it's gone from, you have 48 hours, here's a webinar, it's a video sales letter, you buy after the webinar, you have 48 hours and we have 5 spots, like complete fake urgency and all the time discounts, and customers were never happy if we didn't give them discounts, and the ones that bought with discounts wanted more discounts if they wanted to buy anything more. Now we were stuck in this endless loop of discounts. So today it's, can I wire the money now? We're fully sold out, we have no discounts, and customers are happy to pay more money than ever. So let's look at this, let's unpack it one step at a time. So the first thing I'm going to talk about, the first mistake that we ended up fixing recently, was going away from talking about our market, making our marketing focus on solutions to problems or to pains. You can change the word problems to pains, needs, desires that your prospects or your target group has. So instead of talking about our features, talking about our courses, talking about our exercises, talking about money back guarantees and things like that, we focus our entire marketing stack today on educating people and helping them going from problem aware to solution aware. Let me show you an example. So if you assume you were in this room full of ladies, and if you ask this group of women, hey, how many of you want to work with your weight? And just a hypothetical question, I would imagine 80% of the room are going to lift their hands up. Because a lot of us are not happy with our weights, right? Either we want to lose weight, or we want to put on muscle, or we want to get into our favorite clothes that we're not able to, whatever might be the reason. That's a perfect problem aware question to ask, because you're literally saying, here is the question, weight management. How many of you want to work with it? Everybody understands that question. Compared to saying, hey, how many of you want to work with Pilates? Many of them have not heard about Pilates. Even if they've heard about it, they don't know what to expect. They're uncertain if it's going to work for them. They're not sure if if their body can cope with whatever Pilates is going to throw at them. They don't like, the word Pilates. You have all kinds of prejudice to work with. And I'm willing to wager that 1/4 of the same, 1/4 of the people raise their hands up in the same room, right? And most of our marketing was about, hey, do you want to do Pilates? And not about, hey, how many of you want to work with weight management? And if you're doing problem aware marketing, right, a lot of people are going to raise their hands, shake their head, saying, yes, I agree with you. A lot of them are going to be taking photos and screenshots. You're going to get a completely different behavior compared if you're talking solution aware. And you sort of feel it in the room, especially if you do offline stuff. So our prospects are problem or need aware, and our job is to eliminate their path to the category of solutions that you're working with. I'm going to talk about category in a bit, because that also revolutionized our thinking when we realized that we need to really build our category and educate people about our category. And if you don't do that, people have nothing to compare us to, and they don't have an urgency to move towards us, right? And that's why I believe competition is a great thing, because everybody's educating the category. So when we started realizing that our marketing was completely broken because we were talking about purely about features and solutions, and in a sense outcomes, which is pretty good, but not about problems at all. And especially in social media marketing, where you're spending a lot of money on ads, like we're spending $300,000-$400,000 a year. We're talking about our solution and talking about like why they should buy and giving them discounts rather than being problem aware. So we end up talking about features, discounts, and prices to prospects in the problem aware stage, leading to a lot of misalignment. And most of our marketing fell flat or dead even before we began, because we were just bombarding this group of people that didn't even feel the need that they needed our product. They didn't even feel it to, and hence the whole marketing was irrelevant. And recently, a couple of weeks ago, I was telling this to my friend, a Finnish friend, who has a business doing about 10 million euros in sales a year. They're not growing as fast. And I was asking him what the issue was, and he was telling me about marketing. And I said, listen, this is what I did at MoonRise. I moved my marketing from talking about our features. He runs a SaaS company, so all the more, right? You can talk about all the features you have and all the time savings you can do and so on. But people don't care. People care about where they are today, right? And they really want to be moved to you. So when I told him that, his first reaction was like, but Mahesh, Steve Jobs didn't know people wanted an iPhone. How did he do it? And I said, you know what? Let's go back and look at the presentation. And that's what we're going to do together here. We're going to look back at the presentation, not the whole presentation, but parts of the presentation that I've taken out, where he makes the audience and us that are watching aware of the problem very subtly. Let's take a look.
Oh, things. Widescreen iPod with touch controls, a revolutionary mobile phone, and a breakthrough internet communications device. An iPod, phone, and an internet communicator. iPod, phone. You getting it? These are not three separate devices. This is one device, and we are calling it phone. Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone. And here it is.
He's genius, right? I mean, he speaks about the fact that you had an iPod in your pocket, you had a pretty heavy communicator device, and for some of you that are as old as I am, you had actually three different devices if you had enough money back then, where you had like a regular phone, you had like an internet browsing device that Motorola had, for instance, and you had an Apple iPod because that was the standard for listening to music, right? So you had literally three different devices, and that's perfect problem-aware communication. Let's talk about, there's another example here where he talks about the keyboards. And there's another example of problem-aware communication, where iPhone was the first phone to release with a complete screen, right? But there's no keyboard at all. And the way he frames this is also pretty interesting.
It's this stuff right here. They all have these keyboards that are there whether you need them or not to be there. And they all have these control buttons that are fixed in plastic. And
so he talks about, I mean, he's genius, right? He talks about the form factor, which is plastic. He talks about the fact that it's getting you stuck in terms of user experience, so you can't do other things. So all the while, this whole presentation is about problem-aware communication, and he subtly introduces the solution, right? Because everybody understands what a phone is. He just reinvented the phone. And I'm going to talk about that in a second, about category, because if you're doing something brand new that nobody even understands, category education and problem education becomes all the more important. So let's jump to that in a second. So let's look at category education, right? And for us at MoonRise, this book and the whole work with the category pirates, I'm going to leave a link below, was absolutely amazing. And same with the work with April Dunford with positioning, because what we realized was that we are creating something new. I mean, we are building a new category, and that's why it's been very hard. The category we are trying to build is around self-health care for women. So when you get a diagnosis, and the first immediate reaction is you go to the doctor, and then the doctor tells you you can do X or Y. And if it's a chronic issue, it's typically like, well, you have to go on a pill for the rest of your life. And that's the thing we were fighting against, starting with pelvic floor dysfunction, saying you don't have to do a surgery and you don't have to do these exercises that are not working for you. You can do something completely different. So we called that category self-health care. And this category requires a lot of education, because we're literally asking people, hey, it's okay if you don't go against your doctor. And doctors and lawyers, are pretty highly ranked in terms of trust. So to break that takes a lot of time. So there's a whole field of marketing communication around category education, which is literally talking about the problem and talking about the category you're trying to create, not about your solution. It's a world of difference. Talk about your solution versus your category. When you talk about your category, a lot of other players, a lot of other alternatives show up, and you're really saying why this category is a brand new shiny thing that you need to pay attention, because those that have the problem, you would love this category, right? Versus resegmenting an existing category is when people already understand what a phone is and you're resegmenting it, right? So they're completely different dynamics in terms of how you communicate. But the principle behind it is that you're communicating from a problem aware standpoint and from a need aware standpoint and not from just a solution aware standpoint. I'm not saying you should never communicate solution aware. I'm saying that most of your marketing will get a big boost if you look at it with these eyes and say, okay, how am I communicating and moving people from where they are today, which is in a problem state or need state, to their desired outcome, right? And those steps can be very illuminating from a marketing point of view. So as I mentioned, April Dunford, she's wonderful. She breaks it down into this framework, which we used at MoonRise. So the competitive alternatives, which when you start thinking about it, you'll realize that inertia is a competitive alternative. So not doing anything in our case was a real competitive alternative. That was the hidden alternative, because a lot of women say, I've had this issue for 10 years. I might as well live with it for another year, or I'll take it up next year when my kids move out of home, or whatever it is, right? So then we realized all the more that our marketing should talk about sense of urgency from a problem point of view, that it doesn't get better with time. And instead of talking about, why our exercises were better, because they were not ready to listen to that. Key unique attributes that I speak about in another video when we did this exercise was, what are the features that makes it unique for us and so on. So I'm not going to go through all these details, but I'm going to leave a link for you to do this exercise. If you're struggling with getting ROI on your marketing, whether that's paid marketing or even conversion in your organic marketing, it's largely because you've not defined your positioning right, or you're not doing your category education, problem education well enough. And that would probably be a place where I look at. The advantage of having problem aware marketing or problem aware communication is that they feel understood. They want their issue to be diagnosed. They start to understand they can take agency over the situation. So you empower them because they see that, well, okay, somebody's talking about this issue that I clearly have. They seem to be talking about it in the language I understand. What have they done? And they start researching. They start to see the outcomes, and they start to see the path to the outcome that you want them to have, which is really why you're in business, right? You want to move them into an outcome that you want them to have. So when you start showing them that path, the organization, the person, the brand that shows them that path becomes very trustworthy. And that's when your marketing ROI starts really paying dividends, and that's what's starting to happen for us. Now, if the category already exists, right, reframing the problem in a unique way is the key that can help stand out. So for instance, Salesforce, back in the day, the way they reframed the problem was talk about which is better, cloud or on-premise. And everybody understood on-premise, or they came up with the term, but everybody understood what it entailed because a lot of people went through that challenge. So for them to talk about not their solution, but why cloud, the category, is better, and hence why Salesforce is the obvious choice, was the perfect marketing ploy. Because if you believe that the category is right for you, you would automatically believe Salesforce is the right partner for you. But if you don't believe that cloud is right for you, as late as 10 years back, many people are like, I don't know if I would like the cloud, it's not secure. That discussion doesn't exist anymore because the whole category has won. And if the category wins, there's enough room for a lot of people to win there. So when you start communicating around your category and when you start communicating around the problem outcomes that you're trying to drive, the problem aware state that the customers are in, your marketing is going to get a lot more ROI. So some nurturing ideas that we do is we do assessments. So we love assessments. I'm going to link a video here where I talk about it. We use an app called Score App. Another video here where I show you exactly how to set it up. It takes less than an hour, and it's wonderful. It works across any industry. Assessment is a wonderful way to get people to understand, well, I'm not alone in this problem. I can actually get to an outcome that I'm really looking for, and I can see a path, right? Questions as social media posts. Do you suffer from X? Is a much better start of a marketing post compared to here are my features. Community and groups are great. Weekly workshops are great where you frame the problem. So our weekly workshop is 3 mistakes to avoid for reversing pelvic floor dysfunction. And by the time people come to that weekly event, we've already educated them enough about the problem. They understand that they need to take agency, and that's when they get invited to the event. So the assessment is where it starts. But to do weekly events about the problem or the category you're trying to do is a wonderful way to move people from problem aware to solution aware. We could also do 5-day challenges where you give them one email a day, educating them. And at the end of the 5th day, they're much closer to your solution than they were when they started. And I hope you got value out of that. Let's go to number 2. And this I want to credit Daniel Precy, the guy you see in the photograph here. He talks about transparent demand versus supply. Any business has some kind of constraint in supply. Even if you're like Spotify, you have some constraint in your supply, right? And you can use that to fuel demand. And I'll tell you what we did. The way Daniel frames it, absolutely love it, is he asks you, which is a better business, an airline or Rolex? And obviously you'd think, well, Rolex probably is a better business because it has a better brand. But, airlines, they're a commodity, right? They really want to fill their airplanes with as cheap or as expensive as possible, but you end up looking as a consumer looking for the cheapest option, right? Most of the times. Rolex, on the other hand, has pretty bad customer service. They have not innovated necessarily the last 50 years. You have to wait in queue, and they have much higher margins, So, which is a better business? Is it because Rolex has very limited supply that there's so much demand, and they have really thought it through and gamed the whole system, right? Or think about an ice cream truck on a hot day. It's impossible for you standing in the queue on a hot day and say, "Hey, dear ice cream vendor, can I get your ice creams for a cheaper price, or can I get a discount?" Because he or she is going to say, "Look behind you. There's like tons of people. You not even want to ask that question, right? That's not even in your thinking periphery. And this is what happens when you have a business that has high demand. You start really calling the shots. And this is the classic curve of demand supply, where there's an inverse relationship between demand and supply. And what we did at Moonrise was to really start bringing down supply, and I'm going to show you what we did. Another way to think about demand supply is I'm part of this AI community in school with this Dutch guy called Clarence, and you can see that there are 179 members. When I took the screen, or as part of this group, there are 8 online and 1 admin, and it costs $65 a month. And there's somewhere here it says that the price keeps increasing for every 5 members that come in, which is also a wonderful way to think about demand supply, right? Because now I have urgency because I don't want the price to go up, and it's also clear there are 179 people here. This guy is not trying to scam me, which is really what most customers or prospects are thinking when they're looking at your business. They're thinking, is this trustworthy, right? Especially if it's B2C, is this trustworthy? Are they going to scam my money, right? And when you have demand supply, so here you can clearly see there are 179 people already in the community. It becomes much easier for you to make up your mind. Same with WhatsApp groups. We have a open Facebook group for Moonrise as well. Call it pelvic floor dysfunction group. And we have like 8,000 people there or something. And when you have 8,000 people there, you realize, we send people there all the time, and we say, listen, here's a group, go ahead, take a look, ask your questions. Now, all of a sudden, when people are part of an open, transparent group, and when we once in a while post that we're opening up slots and they see like 30 commands, they know that there's demand, right? So we don't have to manufacture demand anymore. There's clearly demand there. So what we did was we closed sales and made it waitlist only. So instead of saying buy our programs, get your pelvic health back, we literally said, listen, do our assessment, but let's see if you qualify. If you do, join our wait list, and occasionally we open up slots when we're ready to get a new intake, and you'll be the first to know if you're on the waiting list and you've qualified, and you can make your purchase, and this is what it costs. So now we open sales 2 to 3 days a month, or 2 to 3 days every second month, 6 weeks, something like that. And for every 3 days we open up, we make $100,000, right? So now the goal that we have is, how do we get enough leads to do the assessment and get in the wait list enough times so that our cohort keeps expanding. And we always talk about how many are on the waiting list in our emails, and we get people to see our free Facebook group and at our weekly events. So those that qualify and are on the waiting list, they get into our weekly events, and they see there are 40 women there. And we say, listen, we're going to have like 30 spots, and we do this weekly event for, till we fill up the spots. So it's already 40 of you here. So when we send your emails, make sure that you're paying attention. So this is what you see in our website. We don't see any sales button anymore. There's no buy button anymore. We just have a waitlist button. And by constraining supply, you build demand, and then you let them fight it out. So we moved from, there's no sense of urgency that was manufactured, saying, oh, you have 48 hours to lock in this discount, to there's natural sense of urgency and natural scarcity. Because the way we thought about it was, we realized we don't want to have 500 customers. We're not able to manage that at the current moment. We can take in 50 or 100 or 75 or something. So let's just keep that as our limit, and let's be extremely ecstatic if we get 75 women that come in very fast with very limited marketing expenditure, and we serve the hell out of them, that they want to stay and they want to refer their friends. So we moved our mindset to, what is our natural scarcity that our business can handle, where every customer is having a great experience, instead of trying to maximize revenue. And that obviously leads to a natural scarcity that we can use in our marketing. So we were also doing a lot of gimmicks, like the 48-hour webinar thing, which was a gimmick, because literally you could take that same link and come back 2 days later after the 48 hours was over, and you'll see the same message, right? So it was gimmicks, and I think people sensed that, and that's why conversion was low. We made it transparent with the Facebook groups and what we have, and we test a lot using free tools. So the way we have constrained supply has really helped us build demand. Now the goal is to see how can we keep making this tension work, because it's literally, the transparent supply demand is a tension, right? You want to make that tension work all the time. And obviously you have to keep manufacturing that tension in one form, shape, or the other. Otherwise, at some point, you're going to have lots of supply and less demand, and then you're back to the square one again. Mistake number 3, which one of my favorite things that we started doing here at MoonRise, was the Cinderella questions, and let me explain that to you. So I'm sure many of you watched the Cinderella, have read the book or watched the movie, and there you see the prince, trying to get the shoe to fit Cinderella, right? Because then you know that's the princess. So this glass shoe has to fit. And the way we started thinking about the glass shoe was to come back a step and look at Alex Hormozy's value equation, where he talks about the dream outcome that your customer wants to have, multiplied by the perceived likelihood of that happening, with you, with your product, divided by time delay and effort and sacrifice. So the things on the bottom reduce the value, right? So if there's higher effort and a lot of time delay, it takes the value equation is obviously weaker compared to in a perfect world. Time delay is 0, effort and sacrifice is 0, dream outcome is 100. You obviously have an infinite value, right? Which is literally what all businesses are striving for. But when you work with healthcare like we do, time delay is a problem or is a challenge because you have to put in the work and effort and sacrifice. You have to put in the work. If you don't put in the work, you're not going to get the results. And obviously, it takes time for different people. For some, it goes pretty fast. For some, it goes pretty slow, right? So what we ended up doing to figure out our Cinderella questions as part of our assessment and our problem-aware communication is asking questions that give us an indication of where are they in that spectrum, and the problem aware was the solution aware, right? So if they're closer to solution aware because of the answers to the Cinderella questions, they get a different pling in our CRM versus if they're more closer to problem aware, right? So we put a score based on these Cinderella questions, and we've come up with our own way of calculating this based on the value equation that the customer, that Alex Hormozy speaks about. I'm going to give a link there for those that are not familiar with the $100 million offers. I'm going to leave a link here in the video so you can really familiarize yourself with the value equation, because it's simply mind-blowing the way you can think about it. So the Cinderella questions we ask is, how long have you been thinking about improving your state of health? And obviously, if you've been, it's relatively new, you're still in your discovery journey compared to if you've been thinking about it for 3 years, right? So you're obviously mature in terms of where you are. What has stopped you from taking action is also a pretty good question. Obviously, we don't weight this as much as the previous question, but it's an important question to ask in our niche. How much are you willing to invest? And this is the real cookie Cinderella question. How much are you willing to invest if you get the right professional help tailored to your specific needs and goals? There's not a commitment. However, your honest answer will help us tailor resources suited to your budget and means currently. This is where we really see that everybody that answers $250 to $500 or more, they're the ones that are really ready to put in the money, right? That we ask, which is about $1,000 plus, right? But if you put in 0 to 50, there's like 5 or 10% of them that end up paying, but most of them are not ready. So people are giving us, at least in our niche so far, giving us pretty honest answers. And this really helps us, not bombard these people that have no money. They have no, or they might have money, but they have no inclination to spend the money on you right now. We don't bombard them with offers at all. We just focus on educating them and nurturing them. We just keep them extremely happy by giving them a lot of value and educating them in our niche and putting them in our community. And we just focus on getting more closer to the sale with people that are in the option $250 to $500 and beyond, right? Because they're the ones that are ready to put in that money. And then we offer payment plans for those that have slightly less money and so on and so forth. We really start tailoring our message when we open up our waiting list based on this answer, right? How urgent is also another question. So some people have pelvic floor dysfunction that they can't live their regular life, and some people manage it pretty well. And if they're not urgent, in urgent need of help, what we also say is that it's clear to us that you're not in urgent need of help. Do you want to still be on the waiting list, or you don't want to be on the waiting list? And this is another concept around what we started doing. Instead of saying, please buy, please buy, please buy, we've gone to with or without you energy, which is basically, listen, we understand where you are, what do you need so we can tailor it for you. And that has really changed our communication and changed everything we do with our prospects. And finally, how much time are you willing to spend doing work to get to your health goals? So again, taking things from the value equation and making it concrete and then putting a score on it is how we look at our Cinderella questions. And Cinderella questions are awesome because not all leads are the same. Let's face it, especially if you're doing B2C paid ads like we are doing, not all leads are the same. They all have, especially the ones that are poor, that have no money and no time, they're the ones that demand a lot. So you really want to weed them out from your or put them in a different box at least, compared to the high quality leads that are ready to spend time, ready to spend money, right? And if you're doing things online compared to doing things offline, it's obviously you need to find a way to separate these things, right? If we know that this person has no time, then we focus on giving them value that is adapted to them. Or if they are not in urgent need, we don't sell them at all. Or if they don't have the money, we don't sell them at all, right? So again, not all leads are treated the same. And old scoring systems, in our book, in our case, was not doing the job. It was giving us a number, but it was not smart enough. The Cinderella questions supercharged the smartness. And when you add AI to this machine, you get 3 to 4 times the outcomes at lower cost. So the way we add AI is really segment everything in make.com and put them into our CRM. We use a CRM called Brevo. And in our CRM, we have completely different lists, completely different scoring categories. And then we put them back in Make again to look at how often these customers engage with us, and then when are they ready? When we open up the waiting list, that's when all the automations in terms of emails go out, right? So we sort of structure this up with AI, which really helps us tailor, be very personal based on after the assessment with an OpenAI token. So we are very personal based on their answers, and that personalization at scale can really tailor the experience. So there you have it, 3 marketing mistakes that was killing our sales and how we fixed it. We spoke about, we fixed our marketing messages to go from solution aware to problem aware. We started really working with demand supply constraint, and we started using the Cinderella method or the Cinderella questions to really structure how we qualified and prospected leads, how we moved them further down the funnel. So I hope you found value in this video. If you did, I'd appreciate a subscribe or a like, or send your comments below. That'll help the algorithms, get going with our new channel, and that'll help us, scale even further to founders that are looking for help to scale. So until I see you in the next video, take care.